Welcome to Friday, which means Street Level Floppies, episode number 11, Halloween episode. As Halloween approaches, we decided to maybe discuss a little bit of our favorite horror comics, our favorite scary comics, our favorite horror characters from comic books. I want to welcome everybody to the show. On my right, I have Chris back from his hiatus.
Hey guys, excited to be back. There's been some great books since the last time I've been on. I'm excited to talk about.
Awesome. And Fred to my left.
Man, I'm all jacked up that Chris is back.
Speaking of jacked up, I am all jacked up on cold medicine, so I can't guarantee what I'm going to say. I am going to be unfiltered tonight. I might say something crazy like Bendis, go back to Marvel.
Oh, no.
I just might say something like that.
Spoilers.
All righty. So I want to remind everyone that we are members of the Nation of Nerds. We're part of that family of podcasters, and we really are excited to share all these new books with you. And our first thing is we're going to kind of revisit a Kickstarter that we presented you last week. The Kickstarter is called Our Final Halloween. They are coming down to the home stretch. The solicit reads as 5 kids wake up in an abandoned house. They don't know why they're there, how they got there, or whose blood they're covered in. Co-created by Mike Garley and Michael Lee Graham. Mr. Garley wrote it, and Michael Lee Graham was the artist, and the lettering work was done by Michael Stock. It is a Halloween book that is delivered to everybody on Halloween. So the last day for the Kickstarter is the 30th. And last I checked before we came online, they're about $200 away. So if you want to get involved with the Kickstarter, there is contribution levels as low as $4. $4 will get you a PDF of the comic. All they're doing is PDFs, so there's no shipping cost to this. It's a neat little comic to get for Halloween. Fred, you had a chance to read it. What do you think?
I thought this book was, I think they quoted you as saying it's taken straight out of a horror movie. And I think that was a good example. I would also say that it has a feel of kind of like a House of Muck kind of feel. Like something written by Black Crown or published by Black Crown. It's definitely something to look to and put you into the spirits of this holiday upcoming. So I highly suggest that you get on this. I mean, I did. I backed it. I got to support these guys. It was done well.
And it's not very expensive. Like I said, the lowest level is $4. That'll get you a PDF. For $6, you get the director's cut, which is the PDF of the comic and the soundtrack that you hear on their video. And for the big $9, you'll get the soundtrack, the PDF, and a behind the scenes. I don't know if that's audio or that is something written. But either way, this is a real simple comic. It's a fun idea to do for Halloween. It comes from, Gutter Magic, who were kind enough to send us a copy of this to read. And it was a lot of fun. All right. Well, let's get into our books for this week, our reviews. And it was actually a very good week. I know there was a lot of talk, and myself, I even posted that it was kind of a slow week. But we actually left 2 books off our indie list that probably could have been reviewed on slower weeks. So that just goes to show that there were some hidden gems. We picked something from, 4 or 5 different publishers. We were pretty diverse in our picking of comics. So there's a lot of neat things. And whatever we don't review, I'm sure Fred will give a good boost on our Twitter page. Huh, Fred?
I guess,
put you on the spot now, Fred. That's the tweet.
Yeah, you did put me on the spot. I was like, I don't have this written down.
No, this is for later. We just have to come up with something later. All right. So our first book of the night is Burnouts number 2. After learning aliens are real, Andy goes on the run from his family, his friends, and especially the Burnouts. But Burnouts have other plans for Andy, namely to teach him how to get high and smash aliens. Being wasted is just the price you pay to save the world. Written by Dennis Culver. Art by Geoff. Color flats by Lauren Perry. Letters by Dave DeWatch. I'm not sure. Cover by Chris Burnham and Alan Pasalaka. Variant cover by Geoff. Another variant cover by Carey. And another variant cover by Tony Fleece. Logo design, Dylan Todd. Published by Image. This is Burnouts.
Okay, if you enjoyed like movies like Superbad, Pineapple Express, maybe even Cowboys versus Aliens, then I have the book for you. This book is all those movies mixed in one. We could even title it, instead of Burnouts, we could even look at it as Stoners versus Aliens. This book is, with the books that we read this week, there's some deep ones. So this one's definitely like mindless fun. It's full of kids getting high, where every day is 420. They're searching for aliens. They kind of like they hit them with baseball bats, or they're carrying like hockey sticks. I guess, like, to me, my favorite part of this book is it's not the dialogue. It's the art, the facial expressions of each kid in certain situations, especially during the cow tipping. I mean, let's be honest, who's never want to get high and go cow tipping, especially if you're from the city. But I kind of liked it. What do you think,
I'm
Chris?
from the city, and I've actually never thought about going cow tipping. You mentioned movies. One movie this reminded me of was, I think it's called They Live. And it reminded me of that because a question that I had during the movie They Live is the same question I had while reading this book, which is like, are these aliens real? Right? Because I always like start thinking like, is this dude just going crazy and just, walking into a bank shooting people? Or are there actually aliens, Because that's kind of crazy. So that's something that like I kind of thought about while reading the book. I'm like, is this supposed to be like a metaphor for something? Are these aliens real? Is this guy, tripping? Like, what's going on? But like Fred said, it's very fun compared to some of the other books that were a little more serious or a little darker. This one was definitely just fun, and I recommend you read it if you're looking to have a laugh.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah, this is definitely a stoner book. I love how it justifies being high. You have to be high all the time, because if you're not high all the time, the aliens will get you. That's just what stoners need, is an excuse to be high all the time. And funny, our lead character, Andy has an argument with his best friend. He's like, thinks you're already an addict. You're out of control. You need help. And then the other extreme is like, you're not high enough. You need to be high more. It's funny, the two sides. Right. And they go cow tipping. God, just so many crazy things that they're doing. And at the end, they're surrounded by all those mean cows. So that's going to be a fun joke. Yeah.
Right. I was going to say in the beginning, like where he dreaming about his parents? Do you think his parents are aliens?
Well, they are aliens, yeah. I guess you've got to answer Chris's question. Is it real, or are they just high and they think they see aliens?
True.
So, but yeah.
I guess the only way to find out is to get high and read
it. Yeah.
I didn't try that, so maybe I'm missing out.
Yeah. And okay, was the girl drinking a beer or a energy drink? That's what I asked you. Like when she says, drinking this helps. And I was like, wait a minute, is she drinking an energy drink or is she drinking a beer? I'm not young enough to know.
I think that was
what the thing is to do. Okay.
I thought
it was very vague.
Because they're like partying all the time, so I'm guessing it's probably a beer too.
Yeah,
listen, for legal reasons, the Street Level Floppy podcast does not advertise or advocate drug use while reading these books.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put a disclaimer on this episode.
No, the only thing I take a lot of is protein shakes.
But yeah, this is a fun book. Yeah, it's hard for me to say I recommend it, but if you want a good laugh and you have a little extra cash to pick up another comic book, and the art is really good. I do enjoy the art. I think it's drawn very well. It's cartoony and fun at the same time.
Yeah, it definitely, like, to me, it feels like a Seth Rogen movie or a Jonah Hill movie.
Yeah, Jonah Hill or something.
In comic book form.
Is it Seth Rogen that does the movie with aliens that get high? Like at the end, like there's a little alien that goes on a road trip with them.
That was Simon Pegg?
Oh,
right?
Yes, you're right. It is Simon Pegg.
But isn't he the voice of Paul though? Seth
Oh
Rogen.
yeah.
I think he's the voice of the alien.
Oh,
There you go. That's
that's a
why I was putting it together.
we're coming up with conspiracy theories. Beyonders must be coming up.
Uh-huh.
All right. So on that note, score, Fred.
I'll give this a 3.5. I thought it was fun. And the art really puts it over for me. So not the dialogue, but the art's definitely 3.5.
Nice. Chris?
Yeah, I go 3.5 as well. It wasn't necessarily spectacular, but it was very fun to read. Like you said, if I had a couple extra dollars after, going to the bookstore, I'd definitely pick it up.
Grab it for fun. Yeah, I wish I could give it a 420, but it doesn't deserve a 420, so I'm going to go with a 3.5 as well. Good times. All right, let's go into Beyonders number 3. Imagine there was a single mysterious world written in English that found itself scrawled across multiple ancient sites, some of which predate the English language. Imagine that word was the key to possibly solving the greatest treasure hunt of all time. Now imagine a young boy named Jake finally decoding the meaning of the word, and along with his loyal one-eyed Welsh corgi and his increasingly confused partners, went in search of the word's meaning only to find it led to multiple treasure trove. Now imagine that very book in which you were enjoying this story contains its own awesome treasure hunt hidden inside every panel, and you have Beyonders number 3, written by Paul Jenkins, art and cover by Wesley St. Clair, letters by Marshall Dillon, editor Mike Martz, published by Aftershock. Beyonders. Okay. I have to eat some crow here because I gave Beyonders a hard time the first one. I didn't like it very much. And I didn't read number 2. Because I didn't like the first one, so why would I read number 2? Until this week when we were looking at books to read, and one of the ones we put up was Beyonders, so I went back and read 2, which was much better than 1, and I read 3, and I have to say I really liked it. And now I'm on board for this series. It kind of transitioned into more like, I think it was you, Chris, that said it was like the Nick Cage movie. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it was Fred that it was, and it's feeling more like that. Now our main character is going out and exploring, and him and the corgi and the girl, they're going out and they're going down into tunnels and they're finding things and they're solving puzzles. And now it feels more like an adventure book, I guess, than what it felt like in the first book. And I'm really into the book now. So I'm sold, and I have to apologize. I should have just given it more time. And I know I was hard on it in book 1. Chris, what'd you think?
Well, firstly, I don't think you were too hard on it, because I remember when we reviewed the first issue, I think all 3 of us kind of said it's a first issue. They crammed a lot into it. And another thing I remember is we compared it to another book, and I'm trying to remember the book we compared it to. I think Lost City Explorers. Is that the one with the kids going to Atlantis?
Yes.
Yeah, and remember how when we were talking about Lost City Explorers, we were saying that it was taking too long to get to the point. Right. Yeah. And I remember specifically when we were reviewing issue 1 of this book, we were like, it seems like they want to just skip over all of that and get straight to the adventure. And I think we were spot on with that, because it seems like that's what they did. They did all the exposition stuff in the first issue, which was really boring. And then like issue 2 and 3 is just off to the races. So I don't think you should be too hard on yourself with that, because I think we called it, that it had potential. And so far, it's really fun. It still reminds me of the National Treasure movie. A lot of historical like allusions and things like that it alludes to. Also, one thing I tried to do, because I went back and read issue 2 as well, is the little puzzles that they talk about. That's for the reader, but I can't. I don't know what it means. I don't know.
It's too much for me.
If you're listening to the show and you've been following this book and you figure it out, hit me up, because I want to know. I'm trying to figure this thing out too. Which I don't know. I think it's a competition. The first person who gets it gets a prize. Yeah. But yeah.
You get a corned beef sandwich.
Or fish sticks. So Fred, what'd you think this time around?
I still like this book, but I will say that the information that they threw this time it can be a bit overwhelming at times. Now I did do some research, and you know how it talked about Edgar Allan Poe, Amelia Earhart, with the Croatan, like what was it, like the Roanoke that they found outside the Lost City of Roanoke. Those are all factual things that you find that Edgar Allan Poe did say that before he died, and they found it in Amelia Earhart's diary.
Oh, okay.
Those words. So that was a little trippy. Now, I'm not getting my tinfoil hat on and listening to Alex Jones again, but you know, I did like this book. If I was to explain this, what is this, number 3? No, the issue number 3 would be, one word would be intuition, because they use it quite a bit. I'm all about this story. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just a conspiracy nerd that I am. Like, I just want to search things and see how things work, and you know, how something's always connected, especially from the beginning. They kind of hook you in the beginning. This issue saying like they're they're not the Illuminati. What do they call the people that they're going after?
The Order. Mm-hmm. Pretty generic.
The Order, yes, and how they created banks, wars, religious fanatics, and sandwich robots. They mentioned all that, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it kind of hooked me where they put like all those history things with Edgar Allan Poe, Amelia Earhart, and the Roanoke, that I was like, oh wow, because last year my son did a report about Roanoke, and I remembered that, and then I was like, wait, I'm gonna go look up these other 2 people and see what's going on, and then I was like, holy crap, this is interesting.
Oh, there's actual connections between them?
Yeah, those things that they mentioned in this book, Edgar Allan Poe did say it before he died. It's in record, and it was found in Amelia Earhart's diary.
Ooh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
now,
very.
Did you get your tinfoil hat on?
That's what makes this book even better now, because when you really do incorporate historical events like that, I love good historical fiction, and that's what we're getting right here.
We have to replace our usual street level Floppy's theme song with the X-Files music for this episode.
Yeah.
But did you guys get a feel with this issue, like that maybe because it's been so easy for them to discover things, that maybe Jake is mental delusional?
I don't know.
Like that like they could find him, like wake up somewhere.
I personally thought that. I didn't think that, but now that you brought it up, maybe what I thought was maybe they're letting him find these things, and it's a trap. Because I agreed with your sentiment that it's a little. He's kind of finding these things too easy.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Are they doing that, or are they just trying to let the reader know how smart he is? It's hard to say.
Well, because there was a panel, I think her name's Noreen, and she says thank you to him, and he like looks at her and is like, for what? And she says, you'll see. That's just me digging deep. But
I think he's socially awkward, to be honest, too. That's part of it.
Aren't we all?
How about that corgi, though? We found out the history of the corgi. So they enhanced him. He's not a robot. He's enhanced. And that's why he doesn't have one of his eyes, because they had to put some kind of like GPS system into his other eye. Mm-hmm. And whatever they did to him, the side effect is now that he farts all the time. So gotta love it.
Yeah, what a sidekick.
Yeah. I want a little more corgi interaction. That's what's missing from this. Okay, so Chris, if you were going to score Beyonders number 3.
I'd probably go with a 4. Yeah, I'd go with a 4 because, one, I really love that type of stuff with, like, you know, mysteries and adventure. Like you said, it really feels like an adventure. And I also give it a 4 because of Fred's research and that these things actually have connections and they're not just, like, crazy, you know, fictional things that the writer's just making up. That's actually pretty cool.
And Fred?
I would give the same score, too. I'd give it 4.
Yeah, 3.5. I'm still not quite ready to give it a 4, but I do like this book now, and I'm going to start reading, and I'm not going to blow it off like I did issue 2. And like I said, I think I was harder than you remember. Maybe I was really harder offline than
too hard on it.
But I know. Yeah, I was like kind of, why are we reviewing this book kind of thing? See, patience. I have to have patience, but definitely. Yeah, 3.5 is where I'll go with Beyonders. All right, the next book is Lodger number 1. A handsome drifter murders his way through the Midwest while hiding in plain sight as a travel blogger, leaving families in shreds and body bags in his wake. Ricky Toledo was 15 when she fell hard for Dante, until he killed her mother and got her father sent to prison for it. It's 3 years later, and Ricky will stop at nothing to get revenge. Lodger is a dark, grimy, psychological thriller, a game of cat and mouse between a broken young woman and a serial killer, and like all the best crime noir, a twisted love story. Written by Maria Lampham, art and cover by David Lampham, variant cover Bill Sikowinski, I can't say it, I should know his name, published by Black Crown. Lodger.
Okay, I just want to start off saying that Black Crown, man, they have 3 really decent titles, especially with like Euthanauts, House of Muck, and now Lodger. And those first 2 are kind of like a punk rock emo type books. This book is like mystery. This book is so well written, like reading it from the beginning, from the blogger's point of view, just describing the cities and stuff. And maybe because Blossom's not a city in Michigan that I'm aware of, but it is supposedly up by Lake Superior, so I might not know that. That's way up north. But the feel of the people, the characters that they put in this book is pure Michigan. Like, this is the type of stuff you find up north. Small town, kind of like Mayberry-ish, without Andy Griffin. I do say, like, this book has me guessing a lot of things because there's so many mysteries in the murders. And let me say, I found a connection in this book because they mentioned my hometown that I grew up in this book. And they mentioned Andrew's hometown currently in the same book. And I was like,
that's crazy.
Is this meant to be? Like, it said Flint and Tucson in the same book. I was like, whoa,
in
this is
one
weird.
comic book, Flint and Tucson.
Did they mention mine too?
No, not yet.
No, but that could be next. I don't know.
That's where you could be headed.
although I am wearing a Yankees hat, so maybe there's the connection there.
Yep, it's all connected.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I liked the Ricky Toledo character, the young girl. Man, it captured me. But what I wouldn't have thought that I would be so interested in a black and white comic book, but it was so well done that I liked it. That's kind of punk rock there too. So I liked it. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, this is a deep, deep book. I was blown away. I didn't know what to expect. I read the solicit and I ordered it, so I had it coming. And I knew that this husband and wife team had done crime type books before, but I wasn't prepared for what I read. This was a very, very deep mystery. This was like those first episodes of a TV show that you just walk away from like, holy crap, I'm on this show. The black and white was a beautiful touch too. It just adds even more of a like seriousness to the style of the comic that we're dealing with, this murder mystery, and I had so many questions. I had to reread it. You and I talked about it for so long trying to figure out, okay, is he the old man? Is he not the old man? Does he possess the old man? Is he disguised as the old man? There was like, basically, Chris, there's this young guy and we don't know he's a young guy till the end of the comic. And we're like, holy crap. And Fred, I was going to tell you, there's this moment where he's in the bathroom. And I don't know if you noticed in the panel, he reaches up with one hand and he grabs the coat rack hook.
Yes.
And then he gets sick and he throws up and does all that stuff. I'm wondering, did he like maybe the hump, he was like that and he like straightened himself up like that. And the pain of him doing that is what caused him to vomit. So like he like, I don't know, have you seen Split where the character kind of becomes different people? The movie Split. I'm wondering if he's something like that. Like he has multiple personalities and he takes on different body forms based on what personality is dominating him at the moment. I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm having some crazy theories with this book.
Right. Well, because when we get on it in the beginning, it takes place, the blogger's like blogging about stuff. He's on an app. It's called the Lodger. He kind of like tells you places to go and stuff, And then you see like these old people and some other people wind up dead. But this old dude, the hunchback dude, ends up being in all these places, and he kind of slips a note in the girl's pocket, which I'm like, wait. But then at the end, you see a younger guy with the same name. as she has. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Wasn't his name Ricky too?
No, he's not Ricky. She's Ricky. Maybe he's using the name Ricky and I didn't catch that. But he's supposed
because
to be Dante.
at the end, that's her showing up at that house where it says blam blam, the last panel.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, there was so much going on. Like, I was trying to figure out who's narrating it, because in the beginning, when I first read it, I wasn't sure. But then the more I read it, it was from the blogger's point of view and things that I was confused. It's such a well-written mystery. You're questioning everything you've seen or read.
Yeah, we're gonna need the X-Files music.
Yeah, I mean, this book was out there. I mean, I can't tell you, just reading like the perspective of him as a blogger, where he's all sweet and talking about buying this delicious ice cream and eating at this neat little diner. And then you find out this guy writing all this shit is a murderer. And it's like, whoa, there's just like a lot of crazy. Yeah, this is true detective, X-File level, like crazy stuff, but I definitely recommend this book. It's a great looking book. Like I said, the black and white, that was like the perfect on top of this story. Yeah, I wonder how long this book is, because this seems like a really intricate tale to tell.
I don't know, but didn't they write a book called like Stray Bullets that a lot of people compare it to?
Yeah.
Or similar. So, and I thought that was a pretty decently long run. I quite wonder too, because although, it could be a long run because it's Black Crown and they seem to be kind of like Vertigo in a way with their books, that they could take longer, not like the, current 5-issue Image run or Aftershock. So yeah, this book is really good, man. We should have told you to read this one first, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, this book, we didn't get a copy till towards the end of the week, and we were undecided still. We kind of had so we dropped a book to put this book in. This book was so good. We kind of we dropped a different book that was originally on the list. Yeah. So, Fred, what would you score Lodger?
I would give this book a 4.5. Just with the writing and just like how much I enjoyed the art and how they captured the personalities of northern people in Michigan, all gossipy, always talking about everybody else. Man, that was perfect. That was because that's what you see when you go camping here. So, yeah, 4.5.
I'm going to give it a 5. I
wow.
really, really like this book. It just blew my mind. For me to have to read it twice, because I want to read it twice, not because I didn't understand something. Like sometimes I reread a comic like, wow, what am I not getting? No, it's because I was digging for more. And I still want to read it again to dig for more. Now that you told me that he may have used, like I may have missed something about him calling himself Ricky too. Now I want to go read it again to see what I missed. There's a lot of clues going on. It's one of those books. I mean, Beyonders has clues and little weird things going on, but this is like deeper. It's really well written. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5. So going full on that one. Yeah, check it out. All right. The next book, Beast of Burdens, number 3, Wise Dogs and Eldritch Men. The Wise Dogs encounter a survivor of the Coiter Farm massacre who agrees to lead them to the witch cult's camp high in the mountains, which can only be reached by a treacherous path leading through a series of insidious traps and a host of deadly creatures. Written by Evan Dorkin. Art and cover by Benjamin Dewey. Letters by Nate Pecos of Blambot. Variant cover by Tyler Crook. Published by Dark Horse. Beast of Burden. All right. Beast of Burden is an awesome book. I really have fallen in love with this book as it's gone along through the weeks. And as I found out after the first book, I know now that it's a series. And the only reason I haven't gone back and read the other ones is I gave myself a self-imposed, I'm not allowed to buy any more trades until I finish my pile of floppies over there. But I really want to read more. I want to know the history of the wise men. That would be maybe wise dogs, excuse me. That might be my only knock, and I could see how someone can read it and be like, well, there's not a lot of character building on some of these dogs. It just goes. And I think it's because this series has been around for so long that you're supposed to know. Like, you're supposed to know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and you're supposed to know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Right. You're supposed to already know these things. So they expect that. And though they give you a little bit, it's not as deep as maybe I want. But I really like it. I like the magic. I'm a dog lover, so I like the dogs in it. It's a bit brutal. I mean, there's some animals killed. So if you're sensitive to that, that's going to be tough. And just the magic. I fall in love with this book. The art style, it's like painting. It reminds me of a children's book in some ways, or a young adult book. I have definitely slowly fallen in love with Beast of Burden, and it was one I really wanted to have on our list. Chris?
This is okay. I like when we reviewed the first issue of this specific series, because I know it went on before, but this specific run we reviewed the first issue of it, and I wasn't expecting to like it. Like book about dogs doing magic. I never heard about this series, even though it's been popular. But like you, Andrew, I really like it as well. Not just because it has so many parts, but they come together so well. And on top of that, if you look at it as a fantasy book, it has its lore and it has its world building, and it does it really, really well. That's something that when you're looking, towards like the fantasy genre that you're looking for, you want the world to make sense and for it to feel alive, and you want to, be able to start pointing out the different spells or the different monsters and stuff like that. You want the whole thing, the whole package, and you get that in this book, and it really makes me want to go back and read the older stuff. This book in particular was really, really strong. There was a kind of like a twist, in this one that maybe you could have seen coming, I don't know. But yeah, it was really great, and I'm really adore this series, and I'm hoping it continues, and I want to go back. Maybe over the weekend, I'll head down to Forbidden Planet and see if they've got some of the older stuff in print. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like you. I kind of saw the twist, but I didn't see the twist completely.
Okay.
Yeah, like I kind of knew something didn't seem right, but I didn't foresee it to go all the way to where it went. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Fred, what'd you think?
In the beginning of this issue, I thought it was rather boring, but when the twist came around, I was like, "Whoa, what is going on?" Because I didn't see it coming. But I wasn't all into it like you guys were. Uh-huh. But once I seen that, I was like, okay, now I can get down with this. Because it was interesting. I was kind of turned off with the dogs hanging from the tree. Like, you find in Viking times and things like that. Oh, that was a little disturbing. There was quite a bit of disturbing art, actually. The sheep. There's quite a bit. That because, the painting stuff. The painting style is beautiful, but then when you see that, I'm like, oh wow, this is bad. But yeah, I like the book. I really liked after the twist because I did not see it coming. Then when it started getting real, and I was like, well, is this what it's like with is it like World of Warcraft with dogs?
Yeah, see, that's a good example. It does have that kind of adventure feel, like a fantasy adventure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that's when I was like, okay, now this series I can get into because, it's picked up so much. It's not so much storytelling. They're just going to have action possibly for the next issue as well. So that's exciting for me.
I'd ask you a question. If they weren't dogs and say they were humans and they were dressed up more like adventurers like you'd see in Lord of the Rings, would you have a different feeling about the book?
No. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail because I'm not into hobbits either. So.
Oh, no.
No, Fred, no.
Although I do like Narnia.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah.
All right. I'll forgive you. No Lord of the Rings and no Watchmen. You're in trouble.
Narnia has some brutal animal scenes too, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm not like, to me, okay, not to get off a tangent about like Lord of the Rings, but to me it just felt like a lot of walking.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of walking in this too. They're walking from different place to place. It's very.
And I'm not. I do cardio boxing. I don't like to walk. I don't like to run. I like to lift.
There's no cars in this world. They have to get there somewhere. You want the dog. Now, if the dogs rode horses, that would be pretty. That'd be ridiculous.
It's just a lot of walking.
Not be into.
I can't take it.
That's actually a line from Kevin Smith movie. You know that, right?
You know you're getting some bad. You're going to get some hate email
That's fine.
off of this
Whatever
one.
gets people to listen.
Yeah.
The title of this episode is Fred Hates Hobbits.
Hell no. That's a good... you need to write that, Andrew.
Okay. Holy smoke. Okay. All right. Whew.
I don't like dildo bagging.
Oh, no.
Fred's going to wear a shirt Gollum was right. Oh, man. All right. On that note, I'm going to make you score it first, Fred.
I would give this book... Okay, after all that, and my, talking about the Twin Towers and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff, I'll give it a 4.
Wow, you gave it a 4 after all of that.
Yeah, I seen you just put your drink down like, oh, wow. I thought you were going to spit it out.
I hadn't taken a drink yet. I would have spit it out all over my screen. Oh, wow. Chris?
I'll give it a 4.5. Do we know if this is a limited series or if this is ongoing?
I'm sure it's a limited series because that's the way the other ones are.
Oh, okay.
Like when I did my research, they're self-contained stories.
Okay.
So there's multiple trades that have it all put together in their own self-contained. Even though it's the same characters, they're their own stories.
Okay.
So
yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, so maybe it's 7 or 8 books. I don't know. I don't know exactly how many.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well. I'm a big fan of this book. And I talked a little bit about the art. I really enjoy the style. I think it fits this type of storytelling, the painting style. Alrighty. Next book, Cold Spots number 3. The unquiet dead gather around a crumbling island mansion drawn to a quiet young girl who is trapped within the dreary old house. The girl's father has come to bring her home, but a sinister family with dark and murderous plans stands in his way. Written by Cullen Bunn, art and design Mark Torres, letters by Simon Boland, variant cover by Shiwan Chan, which is an amazing cover, by the way. I've only seen it one place. Published by Image. Cold Spots, Fred.
In this issue, Dan makes it to the mansion. He gets to see his daughter. He has confrontations with, is his wife's name, I think it's Alyssa, and the Quarrels. We get to learn in this issue where all the cold is coming from. There's a confrontation with the Quarrels lackeys and Dan, where stuff seems to get a little bit real, and his daughter comes to save him. That's basically this issue. I mean, I wish we had a little more backstory about Grace and her connection to the supernatural. But I did like, that it's building a story of relationship between a father and a daughter, which was kind of cool to me. I do like the slow build, but I have a funny feeling like next issue is going to be totally action-packed, especially, how this one kind of it flows towards the end. I can see how many people might be turned off by the art and its shadowing, drawing, not really showing faces and stuff. But to me, it kind of adds to the eeriness of Bunn's writing style. What do you think, Chris?
I loved this issue. That's not to say I didn't have problems with it, but
right.
This one was chilling. This one was very scary. This one scared me more than the previous 2 issues. The scenes where he's in the mansion, he's in the house, and he's trying, like, he's kind of like figuring things out, and things are like happening when he first meets his daughter, and I as a reader kind of felt like him because I too don't really know what's exactly going on, but that was terrifying. I thought the art, like Fred said, complemented that very well, like the way that those, whatever those are, ghosts or whatever they are, I think that the way that they're portrayed is really good. My only problem with this book, and I don't know if you guys would agree, is I felt that the dialogue was kind of uneven, and at times it just seemed a little unrealistic to me. Like, this was apparently supposed to be the first time that he met his daughter, right? And I remember, like, he's like picking her up, and he's like, "Oh, well, you're unfit to be a mother." and this just proves it. And I just kind of felt like, after what just happened with those, like, it's kind of like those ghosts just kind of popped up and, like, in that room, and he just didn't even care about that. He was just gonna keep it. So I felt like if they would have played more to, like, the scene where he was, like, in the forest and he was really scared, like, in the house he didn't really seem that scared, but in the forest he did. But I felt like the scene in the house was a lot scarier, so that on that part, if that makes sense, I felt like it was a little bit uneven. But I did love it. I loved the way that it set up big things for the next level. I want to see exactly what this girl can do. I want to know, like, like, how much does the grandfather know about all this? Like, none of this, I don't think anything that we've seen in this book has been random. And so I want to just keep going. And I'm really excited because of all the Cullen Bunn books that, we reviewed on the show so far and stuff like that. I thought that this one was, like, the weakest. But now that this issue, like, completely changed my mind on that.
Well, I'm going to be the buzzkill. I don't really like this book. A lot of the reasons you said, Chris, it bugs me. I keep waiting for this book to get together. I think we've reviewed it. This will be the third time. And I've said this, that it's just, I feel the pacing's not right. There's just something off in this book for me. And I find myself getting to issue 3. And while there were some good things, there was a lot of things, like you said, it just didn't make sense. Like you said, the ghosts appear and they just kind of like shine it off like nothing. They go back downstairs and get in an argument, and he just kind of walks off with those guys behind him. And then, later, then the ghosts appear in the woods. Just some weird choices in this book, so it feels very uneven to me. And I don't know what it is, and I know I'm in the minority. Everybody's in love with this book, but I'm just not. It's not hitting for me. I don't know why, but it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, I can see how you feel that way, because there was, when the lackeys or whatever you may want to call them, it seemed like it was a lot of talk and no action until that one scene in the forest. And then, then things sort of got a little bit, exciting. But, yeah, I think next issue is going to be like the one for this book, because it's been slow. Because remember, the issue before was about, like, the Duck Dynasty dude getting them across to the island and stuff. So it has been a slow build. So I think, what is this, like a 5-issue run? So the next 2 gotta be banging. And I'm thinking,
yeah. I could see why, Andrew. Because uneven dialogue, uneven pacing, that could take you out of an experience. Like, if something happens to a character and they don't react in the way in which you think that any normal person would react, then it would be a problem, because it doesn't seem like he's necessarily very familiar with the supernatural, but yet he's dealing with all of this really fine. So it's a little bit weird. I can see your point on that front.
Yeah, I mean, they show up in the room, and if they showed up in the room and I had just pulled my daughter, even though if I didn't know her that well, out of the room, I'd be like, we're not going back in that room. You guys are going to have to beat my ass right here in the living room, or I'm taking her right now. And he just kind of gives in. And the mom's kind of attitude is very like blah, like she doesn't really, I don't know. I mean, there's more to know, and maybe it'll all make sense to me. Maybe this is something that reads better in a trade. But right now, I guess if we weren't reviewing books, this would have been what I give a book sometimes is that 3-issue chance. I would not be continuing after this. Would have been my 3-issue chance, and I would have moved on to a different book. That's just me.
We've reviewed all 3 issues on the show, right? So we gotta keep it, right? We gotta.
Oh yeah. I mean, as doing this show, I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna read it, and I'm hoping it gets better. But if I were just a consumer,
right,
who's just buying comics just for my own, I would move that money elsewhere, because there's always another title.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
I will say before I get my score here, because we're approaching Halloween, and if you're looking for like a chilling story, tale, whatever you want to call it, for Halloween to get you in the spirit, then I'd definitely say jump on this book. With that being said, I would give this book a 4.
And Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'm right with Fred. Even though those issues I did have, I feel like, Cullen Bunn's mind and just this idea as a whole, and just the the pieces, the seeds he's planting. And I do agree with Fred that I think the next 2 issues are just gonna be like it's gonna have like Boom Parish levels of just whoa, So I think that's totally coming. I would give this one a 4 as well.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Books of Magic #1. Timothy Hunter may be destined to become the most powerful magician in the universe, but he's still a London teenager, and having magical abilities complicates things more than it helps. It's not like he can use magic to pass his exams, stop being bullied, or convince his cute friend to date him. And while Tim's trying to live his life, there are occultists who want to kill him, believing his power will eventually corrupt him into becoming a merciless mage. Oh, and those are the good guys. Luckily, his new substitute teacher is more than she appears and may be able to help Tim discover the mystery behind the Books of Magic. Written by Kat Howard. Art and cover by Tom Fowler. Cover by Kay Carpenter. This is an interesting thing. I could not find the colorist or the letterer, no matter how hard I looked. So I apologize for not giving them credit. I looked everywhere for that. Variant cover, Joshua Middleton, and published by Vertigo, Book of Magic. This is another one of the books from the Sandman universe. But this one doesn't feel so much like Sandman. It feels like its own self-contained book, which might be why you liked it so much, Fred. Different, you didn't have to know all the other Sandman stuff. It has a bit of Harry Potter. The guy even looks like Harry Potter a little bit. But it also has the ominous, dangerous nature that I get out of Deadly Class. So those scenes when he's in school and his teacher, like it says, she maybe seems more than she seems. She seems dangerous. Like I can't really tell if she's on his side or not. Similar to Deadly Class, where, the headmaster really isn't on the side of every kid. There's a lot of behind the scenes double crossing going on. I felt it was well written. I really enjoyed the art. I haven't seen that style in a while with the outlines that way. I kind of like that style. I'm definitely on board for this book. I don't know if it's better in The Dreaming for me, but that's because I'm a Sandman fan, and that one has more Sandman lore than this one does, as of yet. That one has but big fan of that. Fred, what'd you think?
I will say that I like it more than The Dreaming because it's easier for me to understand.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes sense.
Now, yeah, to me, it felt like, and I've never read Harry Potter. I've seen the movies, but it felt like Harry Potter to me, which was interesting. The art was super good. Like the facial, like the pictures of the faces and things. I was like, oh wow, this is really capturing a lot of stuff. The writing, Kat Howard, was really good too. I liked the story. I was sucked into this in the beginning, just how it flowed. It flowed so, like I got to the last page and I'm like, are you serious? It's over. Like I was like, and that's when for a guy that doesn't like magic unless it's Justice League Dark, that it sucked me in, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't like Beast of Burden where it was slow until something happened. This captured me, like even with its humor, like he was trying to do little tricks with paper, and it didn't turn out right, but that was interesting to me. I did have a question for Andrew before we started recording, and I thought, because I put it in the Harry Potter category, I'm not aware of it, but I thought the school was all magic, but I'm guessing it's not now.
No, I don't believe it is. This isn't Hogwarts. I think he's just at a private school, and it just so happens that his instructor also is probably a witch.
Yes, and I can see what you said at the end, because they had the 3 people around the trash can kind of like, doing the thing, and then the teacher was shown in the off panel, and she looked kind of scary, like that lady from Farmhand. So just like snooping around.
That's why I said Deadly Class, because the kids are not friendly in this school. There's definitely going to be some violence, I think, that comes out of this. So it's not Harry Potter light, you know what I mean? Like a Harry Potter book would be for family. I think this is going to get a bit dark at some point.
Oh yeah. Of course, especially with all the Sandman ones, because I saw like Lucifer. Wow, that was definitely dark. Other ones. But I would say, like, The Dreaming in this book, these are definitely 2 of the books that I would read for somebody,
Yeah, these are the best 2 so far of the 4 I've read. I would give this a 4. I really liked it. and I look forward to see what's next. Yeah, but again, I'm a Sandman guy, so it's a lot of fun. I'm on board. And Fred, what would you give it?
I will give it a 4.5 just for the comment. I think the kid, the blonde hair kid, made fun of the kid's wand. Like he didn't know how to use it. I found that very comical and very adult-ish. So I was like, yeah, that's funny. Way to, well played.
I think maybe in order to find, maybe later in the week, and maybe I can do it, in order to find the letter or color, or maybe we could hit up editor or the writer on Twitter or something and see if we can figure out who that is, so we could give it the credit, maybe.
Now, I don't have my physical copy yet. That's why I couldn't look at that. My physical copy will get here Monday in the mail.
Oh, so
that one mail. But I looked on the PDFs. I went all over the place sites. And here's a little thing that kind of annoys me.
Yeah.
I went to some pretty big sites that did reviews again, and they didn't even credit the writer or the artist.
They don't credit.
Much less
Yeah, they
get
don't.
into that. They don't talk about any of that. And I think at this level, if you are known as a place that reviews comics, shouldn't you at least the writer and the artist?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see you not going as deep as the colorist in the letter. You should, but I could see that not happening. But I was really shocked, and so I could not find it anywhere. I spent a good 15 minutes bouncing off an interview or reviews and different things and trying to find it. I went to Vertigo itself. They just had a generic listing. They didn't have it either.
I have it right here.
Oh, cool.
'Cause I have the copy.
Oh, okay. So who's the colorist? Is there a colorist, or is the author
the
artist
says
doing
colors by Jordan Boyd.
Oh, okay.
Letters by Todd Klein.
Excellent.
And then, did you get the cover? It says cover Kai Carpenter.
Kai Carpenter?
And then Josh. Yeah, and then the variant, which I have in my hand right here, is Josh Middleton.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have that, but I didn't have a colorist and I didn't have a letterer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because Vertigo put it on the last page of the floppy too. So.
DC kind of does that.
It got cut off.
It's kind of, you kind of don't notice, but DC and DC books, they don't have recap pages, and they also a lot of times put their credit page in the back. You kind of don't notice because you're just reading the book. But if you look at all other books, usually there's a recap page, and there's also the credits is in the front or after the first couple pages. But DC a lot of times,
like they'll have a little intro and a splash, and then they hit you with it.
Right, but DC never does recaps. If you notice, like just check through your DC floppies in the last couple weeks or months. They'll never have a recap page, and usually the credit page is in the back.
Except for Bendis.
Bendis gets one. He has recap.
No, he does it himself.
The recaps.
He recaps. Like he'll put like what happened in prior issues, like at the first page. Like he always did at was it like the Miles Morales books and things like that? He kind of tells you what happened in previous issues.
But does he do it with Superman? But Chris is saying that it doesn't happen at DC. Is he doing that with Superman? I haven't noticed.
I'm pretty. I thought he does. Like it's like something quick. Like something.
Is it
quick,
like when you're saying like? Is it like in the story? Like it has art to it, or is it just like a recap page? Like it's a page that says
it's in the story.
Well, in action, he's doing that page of his desk, of Clark's desk, and he has all kinds of stuff on Post-its and things. So that I know he's doing, and it kind of like hints at future things, or he's throwing red herrings and different stuff. So he has like a messy desk, and there's all kinds of little things if you look at the desk really closely. Little pads of paper that have things written on it. Little abbreviations of artists and writers. And
if you notice...
We got off topic. We haven't scored it yet.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to get the credits and then...
Yeah. No, we scored it. You gave it 4.5 and I gave it a 4.
Did I?
Yeah. No, we got so off topic you forgot that we did that, but yeah.
Oh, wow. Man, I'm getting old.
And I'm the one on the cold medicine. Remember that. So, yeah, we did score it. But,
sorry about that.
Cool.
Fred was mentioning getting high before reading the books.
It's been a long day.
Oh, yeah. Well, on that note, we kind of started our roundtable, so let's go into our roundtable. And not besides talking about some other books we might have read this week, we're going to kind of have some fun and talk about some Halloween stuff, as we mentioned up front. So I guess first we'll go into, are there any books anyone wants to highlight that they checked out this week?
The only thing that I've basically read is like the Spider-Geddon stuff, and I think it's like well done. And I've read Deadpool versus Black Panther, which I found very hilarious. I think the writer captured Deadpool perfectly, and Deadpool being the smart ass, and Black Panther being all serious. I thought that was very comical, and how it ended. I'm interested to see what happens next.
Well, I did want to mention 2 books that were number ones that didn't quite make our list. That were indies that we did. I think Fred read them as well. So, The Whisper Dark. That was a Dark Horse comic, and that book was kind of about the military, about a team that's lost on a mission that goes bad. A helicopter goes down, and there's a group of special forces that are trying to save the people from the helicopter, and they're somewhere. Are they in Russia? I think they're in Russia.
I can't remember. The only thing I remember about the book is that it to me it felt like Apocalypse Now. But like the dialogue was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like I think like they were trying to mention, like they were trying to make it a book about faith and other things, which it kind of didn't make sense to me, because the faith part and the actions that were happening and it were totally hypocritical.
Yeah, it didn't quite hit, but it has promise. So I'm definitely going to go back and check it out. And then the other one was an Aftershock book. It's a Steve Orlando book. It's called The Dead Kings.
Oh, cool.
And The Dead Kings, let's see if I can remember. It has to do with like a dystopian Russia. Is that what you would say, maybe?
Yeah, see, that book was kind of hard for me to read. Maybe it was because of all the Russian names.
There's a lot of Russian names and a lot of Russian references to foods and different things like that.
Yeah. That one was just a tough read for me. I could not get into it.
I liked it. You're right, it wasn't an easy read, but another one that I want to keep my eye on. And so I just want to mention those 2 books. Those are really the only other 2 books I was able to read this week.
Oh, I know one more that I read. Baby Teeth.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Donny Cates is killing it.
Always.
Like that. That book is like really good. It's crazy. It's wacky. I do need to catch up on. I think I have 3 issues I'm gonna read in kind of like trade form, I guess you would say, with Redneck. Because I need to catch up on that, because it's Donny Cates, so of course I gotta read that stuff soon too.
I read X-Men Red,
which
is good, and it's so unfortunate that I feel like ever since the Uncanny stuff was announced, like no one talks about X-Men Red anymore. I feel like, because you just kind of knew. I think people were talking about the book dying months ago. I think in the summer, before we even started the show, and unfortunately, it seems like that's the case. But it's still a good book. Like this series is still really good. And it was announced Tom Taylor's moving on to a Spider-Man book, which is perfect. But yeah, X-Men Red was good. X-Men Black has been good. You mentioned earlier you read the Mojo, which was one of my favorites.
Yeah, so I'm one behind. I read Mojo. I just need to read Mystique next.
And Juggernaut came out on Wednesday.
So I'm 2 behind.
Yeah, Juggernaut was pretty good. My favorite is still Mojo. What else did I read? I read all the Spider-Geddon stuff. I caught up on that stuff. That stuff is great. My favorite event so far this year. Like Fred said, I also read Black Panther and Deadpool. I agree with Fred that that book is fun, and I can't wait until the next one. I believe it was that, Fred. Do you know, was that book spoiled by one of these sites?
I don't know. I've been kind of I haven't been on the internet unless somebody texts me and stuff, and I just read.
Then I won't bring it up then. But I had seen something that really made me mad because I'll tell you guys after the show. But I had seen something that kind of spoiled.
Wait, does it have something to do with like the Shuri book too?
No, it was something else. It was something else about. I'll tell you guys after the show. I don't want to spoil it.
I've been sick all week, so luckily I missed all that. If they did,
Return of Wolverine. Of course, I was raving about the first issue, so the second issue came out. Great stuff. And Fred, some stuff happened Andrew, some stuff happened in this one that's making me think your theory is true about the first one. About them kind of controlling. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking, based on some stuff, like read part 2 and then tell me like what you think. Punisher was great. He teamed up with your boy, Matt Murdock. I always love when they team up because it's one of those things where it's like, you can't kill anyone. And he's like, oh yeah, bang. And he's killing people, but this one was really good. I think you guys would both like Punisher. I think that's it for me. An Amazing Spider-Man too. That's a new arc. So I think a new storyline. So I think I would recommend it because it was a great one. And that's what, I guess all Marvel this week. I didn't get around to any DC stuff yet.
See, I have my DC. I picked my comics up today because I've been sick, but I wasn't excited for anything on the DC except for maybe Wonder Woman. And I was really kicking myself that my Marvel is mostly mail order this week, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to read all those Spider-Geddon so bad because I'm totally into it like you." And it's like, man, those won't get here till Monday. I just couldn't pass up the discount on those because all those ones were discounted. But I was kicking myself so bad. I was like, man, this is a Marvel week, and I'm waiting like a fool for the Marvel, and where the DC's kind of like, I'm not as big on Justice League Odyssey. Even regular Justice League has been kind of a letdown lately. And I don't like Robinson's Detective. I know you said you're a fan of Robinson. It just hasn't hit for me.
When is the next Heroes in Crisis? That's what we're all waiting for.
Next week.
When is it? Next week? Okay.
Next week. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It should be in our files today.
I'm down for that. Okay. I know what I'm doing.
We haven't got our files. Do we have our files? I haven't seen our files. You need to bang on somebody.
Yeah. Make the calls.
I'll message him.
Get on the bat phone.
Probably tomorrow morning.
I need that. Yeah. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that'll definitely be fun. Next week is a little bit better. I was making the joke that it seems like they flipped it. They wanted to make sure good stuff came out on Halloween, so instead of next week being the dead week of the 5 Wednesday month, it was this week.
Yeah, next week is like a lot of good books. Like Shanghai Red comes out again. Yep. I think Ice Cream Man. I think I wrote down like 10 or 12 books to look over to decide.
There are a lot of good books.
Like, oh wow!
And there's a lot of good Marvel and DC books too. So it's definitely a good week, without a doubt. I think it's because they wanted to really capture for the Halloween crowd. Makes sense.
I already got
because a lot of kids do go into the shop to trick or treat. A lot of the shops do that. So.
I already got my picks for when we do our most anticipated for the poll. Yeah, I already got mine. Yeah.
That's because you're 2 weeks
Well, on that Halloween note, let's segue into some of these Halloween things I wanted to talk about. Okay, here's the first question for you guys. Your favorite horror-based character.
Ooh.
Any publisher. I don't care. Like, who's your favorite?
I can go.
Go.
Ileana Rasputin.
That's a good one.
Magic is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe, but yeah, she's terrifying. She gets crazy. I remember my first time because I was not a New Mutants fan. Not that I wasn't a fan of it. It was just I never read any of the old stories. So my first time really getting a sense of the character was during the Avengers versus X-Men. And where she kind of got the Phoenix. And she was really crazy. And I remember during the Jean Grey solo series written by Dennis Hopeless. And Jean was trying to figure out how to control the Phoenix, so everyone's idea was for her to talk to people who has had it inside of them. And I remember she went through in like everyone's mind and kind of tried to check and see how they dealt with the Phoenix. And when she went into Magic's mind, she found out she actually enjoyed it. So ever since then, she's been like one of my favorites. And I definitely think like, and I went back and read like her storyline when she got kidnapped and was dealing with all of that stuff. I definitely think that's like horror and magic and that kind of Halloween stuff. Yeah.
Fred, who would you pick?
I would pick. I can't think of the family's name, but the book Witches by Scott Snyder.
I don't know that book.
Like the characters from that. It's really good. I think next week there's a book that comes out by Image. It's called Witches the Bad Egg. It's a one shot. But Scott Snyder's book was really good. For a book that you might know, I would just pick anything Scott Snyder, New 52 Swamp Thing run. For a character, that's another character that I could choose too. So
I like Mark Miola's Hellboy. I've always been a big fan of Hellboy. Those original comics, they're much darker than the movie was. The movie's cool too, but yeah, I would go with Hellboy. That's one of my favorite characters for sure. The whole, that he's a demon and he's living amongst us and he never feels comfortable with who he is. And yeah, one of my favorites for sure. Okay. Favorite horror storyline, in a mainstream comic. So what would be a storyline that you guys enjoyed that was about horror? Or it can be an independent comic too. It doesn't have to be a mainstream comic.
Okay, if I was gonna pick like a best like arc or like run, I would have to say Infidel.
That's a good one.
That book is really scary. I totally suggest not reading it at night with the lights off. Yeah, and the art. I forgot who the author. I think his name's like Pornsack something. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it's really good.
Chris?
Favorite, so I gotta pick one. I'll go with the one that after I read the first trade, I refused to go to the second trade because I wasn't gonna put myself through that, and that's Lock and Key. I read the first trade and I said nope. I'm not gonna bother buying the second trade. I to this day have not continued with that story because that is too much for me. Yeah, that's the honest truth. I read the first trade and it terrified me, and I did not go back to it. So,
wow. Well, mine. I'm gonna play a little bit off of what you said. The Magique thing. The New Mutants Demon Bear has always been one of my favorite runs when they deal with the Demon Bear. And I was so excited that the movie was going to do that. The movie that I don't know if it's ever going to come back and come out or whatever. But that is such a cool run. That whole, like, the possessed spirit of the bear that gets involved with the Native American lore and Daniel Moonstar and all that stuff. I just love that. It's one of my favorite runs in the horror.
I want to go back and read that. I love that storyline too. It's just so creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, you kind of like, in the beginning, you kind of don't know what's really going on, but like, you just stick with it and like, it's so scary. I'm going to get into that.
I think you can get that on Unlimited too. Books. I think you can find that run on Unlimited too. So if you have Unlimited, probably read that. Yeah, that's fun. That's what really got me into New Mutants. And I was excited with the movie. I don't know, from the trailer, I don't know if they've quite captured it the way I want them to, but who knows? It's just a trailer. Yeah, that's another fun one. Now, I don't know if we kind of covered this, but what's a true horror book, not with superheroes, that you really liked? So I guess Lock and Key would work for you and that. But I was thinking like stuff that, like I said, Demon Bear, that's superheroes. What's a real horror book that you like? Something like Cold Spots or something that you guys like?
Yeah, Ice Cream Man. Ice
Cream Man is pretty tight. That's definitely scary. I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I've always liked the Walking Dead comics. I think they're way better than the show.
There's There's another zombie one that I thought was it was intense. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's called Crossed.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, this one was really vulgar, really like the zombies are not like they're undead, but they think of like horrific ways in which to like do things to people.
Wow.
And yeah, they kind of tell. I'll like share the link with you guys so you could like look at it. But this one, it's not quite as good like as far as storyline as The Walking Dead, but just as far as like the graphicness was kind of it was called Cross,
yeah, early Walking Dead.
I think I could add like there's 2 other Cullen Bunn books that I would put in like this category, like Harrow County, definitely creepy. That has a Cold Spots feel, or Regression. That's super creepy. That's like some of the times I'm like I read it and I'm like, oh man, I gotta hide this book because I can't have my kids picking this up and looking at it.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, horror is definitely popular now. We've really seen it creep into the mainstream of comics with Justice League Dark, and Tim Seeley did some stuff when he was on Nightwing, and now Cullen Bunn slips things in. Yeah, it's definitely popular to jump into the horror. So another thing that's popular is to make these comics into movies. What are some movies that are inspired by comics that you really like that are in the horror vein? Or TV shows too, if you want.
How about Evil Dead?
Technically, I think it was a comic after it was a show, but I'll give it to you. I think it was in reverse.
I would probably have to go with Blade.
Yeah.
I remember being young, those vampires weren't necessarily scary, but they were really cool. You know, vampires are, supposed to be scary. He was just like slicing them up. So I'll probably go with Blade.
And I would say the second one has some good horror. When Guillermo del Toro got a hold of it in the second one, there's that one vampire that like attaches to your neck, that other mouth comes out of his mouth, and yeah, that got some creepy stuff going. Yeah, I got some Del Toro things. For me, one of my favorites is The Crow. I've always been a big fan of The Crow. That movie is like the movie that kicked it all off for me of comic book movies that I really was like, oh, this is badass. This is the way they do some really cool things. I know, unfortunately, my buddy is a huge Crow fan, and he can tell you the exact details, but obviously that's not the ending they had in mind. Unfortunately, Brandon Lee was killed on set, and that changed everything. But the cult status of that, because of that, it's like one of those things that everybody watches on Halloween now. They watch The Crow. Pretty crazy-ass movie. Yeah.
It's a good movie, yeah.
Fred, any other movies or TV shows? Like, do you watch Walking Dead? What else is there? Preacher?
I've never watched Walking Dead.
Wow.
Me either.
I'm not a conformist. Like, if everybody likes certain things, I'm not into it. I write it off.
You know, like, those first few seasons of Walking Dead are scary, in my opinion. As we got away from the walkers, while they still can be interesting, they're not as scary as it became more about the people versus the people. But some of those early season walker stuff, there's some pretty creepy stuff that goes on with the
Have you guys gotten around to Sabrina, the new Sabrina series on Netflix?
As soon as I get off here, my daughter is patiently waiting. She's a huge Riverdale fan, and she cannot wait to see this tonight.
I won't say nothing then.
Yeah, she's so excited. She sent me a picture and texted me on my way home from work. It's on Netflix. There's 10 episodes. It's on Netflix. Yeah, she's pumped. So we definitely will be watching a few episodes, as many as I can get in before I pass out. I'm definitely a big fan of those Archie stories. Even I don't know if you watch Riverdale, because we watch Riverdale. Riverdale's gotten pretty damn dark this season. Okay. Man, there's kids like drinking, like they're playing like a Dungeons and Dragons type game, and they make these packs and they drink out of these goblets, and some of them have poison in them, and some of the kids are just straight up dying.
What?
And there's like this one girl that ended with her like saying she like is spreading the word of some kind of evil king, like it's some kind of creature in the woods. And first part of me would have just dismissed it as dumb. Like, oh yeah, they're not going to have a creature in the woods. It's someone in a costume. But then I started thinking, wait a minute. they're releasing Sabrina this week. So this was Wednesday, this episode. What if they're tied in together? So Sabrina has this supernatural thing. Maybe they're going to slide some of that supernatural thing into the Riverdale one as well. So
yeah,
that was kind of interesting that they might go there. So.
Those are not like the Archie comics my dad used to give me.
No.
Yeah. That's
not
different.
At all. Not at all. I watch them with her and I just laugh. I point things out and laugh. And I go, why do these dudes always have their shirt off? And she's all, I don't care why. It's like, but, yeah, so that's pretty fun.
I mean, the new Titans show is kind of horror.
Is it? I haven't. Fred, you have that. I don't have the.
Yeah, it is. I haven't made it through the whole second episode because I keep getting sidetracked. But yeah, I'm actually digging it. It kind of feels like a WB show.
Really?
In a good way or a bad way?
It's to me. See, I'm not put off by it. I think it's pretty good. There are people that are saying it's bad, but to me, I find it okay. I really like the characters. I like the Hawk and Dove what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Although the guy that played, is it the guy that plays Hawk? Wasn't he the guy that played? He played on what's the Superman show? The first Superman.
Oh yeah, he played Aquaman in
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's him.
Smallville.
Right. Okay.
But he plays. So, I don't know if I wish I could remember the name. It's a football show that was a streaming show, and it's really, really raunchy and sexual. And he plays this goofy football player that's really goofy.
Is it Friday Night Lights?
No, not Friday Night Lights. I'll have to look it up.
I'm not off put by the show. I just the one thing that I just can't get over is like Raven. Why is she so young? Like, I just always thought they were all supposed to be kind of a similar age, you know, but I, like if I don't want to go back on my words. I remember earlier, you know, we did an earlier episode and I said an adaptation is just that, an adaptation. If you want the comic, I'll go read the old comics. They got that on the app. So I just take that out of my mind. Like, anything I know about Teen Titans, I take that out of my mind and I just try and watch the show. When I do that, it's decent. It's okay. It's okay.
That would bug me. I could see that bugging you a little bit because then you can't have Raven and Beast Boy because if Beast Boy's way older than her, that's just weird.
Yeah, so. It seems like Beast Boy is more of like a teen. Robin and Starfire seem more like adults. Hawk and Dove kind of seem more like adults. But Raven is like a little girl.
Interesting.
So it's like, what about that is... The show is not called Teen Titans, though, right? It's just Titans?
Right. Yeah, just Titans.
So it's okay, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, because she's in high school. Because she was on the school bus.
Is that high school? I thought it's like middle school. But it could be high school.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the kid had like a varsity jacket on. They were talking about him playing football, so... Okay,
fair enough.
And did you... And I noticed... the kid's name in there. Man, now I'm losing it again. The Green Arrow, not Green Arrow, the Green Lantern.
Kyle?
His name was Kyle on there. And I was like, wait, is this like, are they going to put Kyle Rayner on there?
That'd be crazy. That would be crazy if they did Kyle Rayner.
I also saw a refrigerator in that episode as well.
Ooh.
So Kyle, the refrigerator.
Yeah, they're talking about a Halloween scene for that. Yeah. Wow. Straight out of a slasher film.
Sorry, I don't mean to trigger any Kyle fans.
Oh man, we're gonna get all kinds of stuff about the refrigerator thing. We're gonna get a certain group of people that. Yeah. Who shall not be named. It's like Voldemort. We don't say it. Crazy. All right. Was there anything else you guys want to throw out there before we call it an episode?
No. You guys got anything?
I think we covered everything.
All right. I want to throw out just one little programming note. Our episode for next week, not for this week, but for next week may drop a day late. So if you're waiting for it on Sunday, it may not show up till Monday because I'm going to my local Comic-Con. And so editing's going to get put off for a little bit. I'm going to meet, hopefully, Eric Esquivel from Border Town. I'm going to meet The writer for Iceman, I can't remember his name right now, and I feel dumb for not remembering his name, but the writer for Iceman's going to be there. Also, the artist and writer for Zombie Tramp is going to be there, so pretty cool. Plus a bunch of other little small artists. Kind of excited. It's a quiet con, but that means I have more time to maybe chat with somebody.
For sure. More quality time.
Are you getting a press pass?
No,
through Mark,
I don't need a press pass for this. I'm going to talk to maybe 4 people. Like I said, it's a quiet con. For us, it's not a big one. Tucson's not very big, but it's a lot of fun. I don't need a press pass for that. I'm iffy. Will they not talk to us if we have the press pass? Or if we're just fans, they'll like chat with us? Like, will they zip up? I ain't talking to you. You're press.
Tuck it in your shirt.
Yeah.
You're going to go push this shit on a blog somewhere and get me in trouble. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Happy Halloween to everybody. By the time you get this, get lots of candy. Watch lots of scary movies. Watch The Crow. Shout outs for all our friends again.
Shout out to everybody that listens to us. Everybody that retweets our stuff. Shout out to everybody that interacts with us. We enjoy it. It's good times. Shout out to those that listen to the Nation of Nerds that it came over and to listen to us. Yeah. I mean, I'm liking what we're seeing. We are definitely growing. This has actually been our biggest week of downloads. Yeah. I'd like to continue it.
And that's great because also a reminder, John Robinson III's Kickstarter is not done. Go contribute, get a hold of Scorpio. He's into stretch goals. I think we're almost into variants, guys.
Yeah.
So,
but most of all, download and subscribe to our show. We especially if you enjoy it, give us a 5-star review. So it can reach more people. It helps promote us, and I think we're going to do some sort of giveaway real soon.
I'll talk to you about that afterwards. I think there might be a snag.
$1 million.
An old copy of Bendis's Superman.
A $20 gift card to Olive Garden because it's great Italian food. Look at Andrew's going to pee himself.
Man. Oh, man. Did you hear about, Chris, that a certain show was dogging our intro music?
Oh, no.
They're just jealous of our intro music, man.
No, they weren't dogging it. They liked it. They were kind of upset that they didn't have it. They couldn't find it. But the thing that Mark was kind of throwing a little shade at you, Andrew, because he said we educate people.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, because you always say we're here to educate, and he was like, they educate, yeah. They educate. And I was like, oh, he does say that now. He got him. Yep.
Yep. Edumacate. I'm going to say edumacate from now on.
Yeah. So. But whatever. I mean, that's the guy that gets us our PDF, so we're going to just keep quiet. To the El Jefe of the La Cosa Nostra.
Cool.
Behind the scenes, there are lightsaber battles and all types of stuff that you guys don't know about. Yeah. It's a power struggle.
All right, Fred. Take us out if no one else has anything to say.
Just like the streets we call our home, show some love for the creator. We out.